First thing, you might already know these facts, and apologies if you do, but the liver, I'm a little bit biased, but it is a fantastic organ, as all our organs are. But it's your largest organ in the body, solid organ inside the body. And we take this to events to show people on our stand and try to get them to engage with us, as this is like the average size of a liver, which is a large organ. Obviously, it's a bit flatter when it's inside. And if you were thinking before about where it's located, it's your upper right quadrant, as in this picture here. So it takes up quite a lot of space in your body as well. And it's involved in over 500 functions. And I think that's something that not everybody's aware of, how important our livers actually are. So it helps us to fight infection. It helps our blood to clot by releasing proteins. It helps us to filter out those toxins, which I think many people are aware of. It helps filter out that alcohol or drugs and things like that. And it also helps us to digest. It does a wealth of jobs. And it's the only organ with the ability to repair and regenerate, which is, again, it's amazing. We've got an organ in the body that has this ability to do it. But what we need to be aware of is if there's a harm to the liver, whatever that harm is, if that's repeated, constant, and it's not picked up and there's no treatment, that is going to impede and affect that ability to repair itself. So it's just to make you aware, yes, it's an amazing organ. It can repair itself, but we've got to think it can only do that when it's healthy. It's always going to try to do that, though. A healthy liver should be kind of like this one, soft and squashy. Not something that we can personally tell ourselves. Obviously, we can't really tell, but that's a healthy liver is flexible and soft and squishy. Now, the problem with the liver is, being such an amazing organ, it doesn't let us know if it's struggling in the early stages. Other health conditions or other organs might give you warning signs that are obviously related to that organ or condition, but the liver doesn't do that, which is why it's so important for us to get the message out there about thinking more about our liver. And it's been deemed to be like an elastic band. So it's got all these jobs to do, 500 jobs, and maybe there's some harm happening to the liver. It keeps on doing its jobs as best as it can. And then it gets to a point, it's like, I can't do all those jobs. It doesn't physically say that, obviously, but it gets to a point where it can't do all the jobs that it used to be able to do in the way it could. So it's being referred to like an elastic band. Hopefully this video works. I just think it's a really nice video by our colleague Sarah to explain the process of the stages of liver disease. If I can see the play button on other.
A healthy liver looks a bit like this. It sits on your right hand side, just under where your ribs are, and you can see it's pretty big, and that's a good thing because it's got a lot of jobs to do to keep you healthy. So this is kind of the first stage of liver disease. You can see all this white here marbling around, so this is fat. A healthy liver didn't really have any fat, but once fat starts to build up, that's what we call fatty liver disease. At this point, your liver is still nice and squishy, still working really well. Your liver can take you throwing quite a lot at it, and it can repair itself, which is great news. But once fat starts to build up and accumulate like we've got here, that can then lead to inflammation, which is like it irritates your liver, and that can start to cause damage. So this liver, this is at a much later stage. This is called cirrhosis, which you might have heard of. So you can see the liver's gone all bobbly and knobbly, yeah? So that's scar tissue, which doctors might call fibrosis. And that kind of binds around your liver and it actually bends it out of shape. You can see this bit that used to go down like that is now up here. So it's all bent out of shape, and at this point, because some cells have died and everything's not really working properly, that means your liver doesn't actually necessarily do its work quite as well as it used to do. And that's why early diagnosis is so important. It takes quite a long time for liver damage to build up to cirrhosis. So if we can catch it early, we can stop this happening.
And this is just my backup slide, just in case that video didn't work. But also just to let you know about cirrhosis, as Sarah said, that is for any liver disease. It will progress through those stages if it's not caught at that early stage. And a lot of people that we speak to, they only associate alcohol-related liver disease with cirrhosis, but that's not the case. So we're trying to get that message out there as well. But also, it's a very unique diagnosis. So, two people getting diagnosed with cirrhosis on the same day, they're going to have, some people, sadly, it might be palliative. Some people, we've got people in our groups who've been living with cirrhosis for over 12 years because they've been able to make lifestyle changes. So just to know, it's a very unique diagnosis, as anything is really. This is the reason that we need to raise awareness. So this is the liver disease crisis in the UK. This graph is showing death rates since the 1970s. Now, the top blue line, that's liver disease death rates since the 1970s. So they're 4 times higher than they were back then. So that, I mean, I'm not going to go into detail because we've got a limited time today, but that can be attributed to a few different things. There's a strong correlation to the rise in levels of obesity. If you think back to a 1970s supermarket, compare it to today's supermarket, you know, we've got aisles upon aisles, haven't we, of processed food. We've got aisles upon aisles of buy one, get one free alcohol, all these things. But all of these contribute. And that's why we need this opportunity to raise awareness about it. Just some statistics. Sadly, 18,000 people are dying from liver disease and liver cancer every year in the UK. And it's midlife that it's half of liver disease deaths are occurring in midlife. Again, so this is why we need to reach people of all ages to get the message out there. And what's happening is because that liver, like I said earlier, it's amazing. It's doing all those jobs. It's not giving those early warning signs. A lot of people, 3/4 of them who are diagnosed with cirrhosis, are being picked up at that late stage. So those 3 stages beforehand, they've been missed for whatever reason, and they find out that they've got cirrhosis potentially when they're in A&E because they've had to go in for these later stage symptoms. Early diagnosis, like Sarah said, is what we need for everybody. We ideally want to prevent it, but if we can't prevent it, we want people to go to the doctors if they're worried and try and get the test to get an early diagnosis. Because if people so that first stage that Sarah talked about, if people are diagnosed at that stage, for some of them, there's potential they can reverse their liver disease by changing their lifestyle. And, you know, it could be that it was diet causing it. So they'll be given advice on how to look after their liver and change their diet. And then, but if it can't be reversed, it could be prevented from worsening and we can get that individual the treatment they need. So this is why it's just so important for us to get out there. Now, in the UK at the moment, up to 10% of diagnosis are caused by factors that we can't control. We can't go out there and say, do this and this will prevent it. They're rarer or genetic conditions or autoimmune. So autoimmune hepatitis, for example, is when the body attacks the liver and causes that damage to the liver. So we can't, like I said, we can't prevent that, but we can make you aware of it. And we can also provide support for any individuals with those conditions. And there are some people who attend our groups who haven't actually been given a specific diagnosis. So that's been called cryptogenic. They don't know the exact cause of their liver disease. But the big news in the UK is 90% of liver disease could be preventable because it's caused by lifestyle factors for many. Now, I say could be, I know it says is preventable there, but that could be is because we need, you know, it's not that easy, is it, to go to someone, right, you've got to improve your diet, get healthy, We know it's very complex and a lot of people need support, but that's the big news. We can change those statistics. We can get that graph to come down. The first, one of the causes of there's 3 preventable risk factors in the UK. The lead cause at the moment of liver disease is alcohol related. Now, it doesn't mean that somebody is, you know, somebody with alcohol-related liver disease, it doesn't mean they are living with alcohol use disorder. It could be they're just drinking a few units over the recommended weekly dose, sorry, that's the wrong wording, weekly units that they're meant to have. And it could be they've got other factors that are contributing to their liver disease as well. I've just put that sheet on there to show about units. You might already be aware, but the government guidelines are 14 units of alcohol a week. And we've got this sheet on our website. You can download it. It's a double A4 or you can get it printed out. I'll give my email address at the end and please do email me if you want any of this sent out to you, but we'll also share the slides and they've got all the links to the pages on. Now, 1 in 4 people in the UK are drinking in a way that could be affecting their health negatively. And it's the lead cause of transplants, liver transplants in the UK. Now, we understand that alcohol can actually become a coping mechanism for some people. So we know it's not that easy, again, is it, to say, right, we need you to cut down your alcohol or stop. We know that people are going to need support around them to do that often. So I'm just going to give you some of the higher risk factors for those that are drinking alcohol. So if they're drinking more than 4 units per day, if they're living with obesity or their weight is in the overweight range, that could increase their risk as well. And we'll talk about that on the next slide. Living with type 2 diabetes as well puts people at higher risk as well. Being female, so if you are female at birth, your liver is actually more vulnerable to the effects of alcohol than a liver that's in somebody that was male at birth. Genetics can also play a part as well. And also, if somebody's diagnosed with a liver condition and then they're still drinking alcohol, that's obviously going to increase the risk of that damage. We've had people come to us at events and they've told us, oh yes, I was diagnosed with what used to be called fatty liver disease 5 years ago. It's like, oh, are you receiving support? Are you receiving regular checkups? And they're like, oh no, I was just left and off I went. And we were like, oh, okay. So then we have to educate them and say, actually, you know, it'd be best to go back to your GP, get some more blood tests, and start to think about your lifestyle. Again, I've got all this on the website for you to access as well. And in the UK, another cause of preventable liver disease is, very hard for me to say this, I have to read it, metabolic dysfunction associated steatotic liver disease, called MASLD. But it used to be called, you might have heard of this, NAFL, which is non-alcohol related fatty liver disease. And this is when, if we've got excess calories in the body that can't be burned off, and we're going to store fat in different places in the body, what can happen is, like Sarah said in the video, some of that fat can be stored in the liver itself. Fat cells go in there, and that's going to cause that inflammation. And if it's not detected, it's going to cause that damage. So I said earlier, before that graph, there's a strong correlation to the rise in levels of obesity. And the prediction by a professor who came to speak to us is that if nothing changes in the UK, this will likely overtake alcohol as the lead cause for liver transplants. So again, we just need to educate more people thinking about making changes. And these are the risk factors. Again, I'll let you process them properly in your own time because we'll share the slides, and obviously you can watch this back in a few weeks. But again, living with obesity or a high waist measurement, too many processed and unhealthy foods, giving the liver more work to do. A sedentary lifestyle. We do appreciate that some people aren't able to exercise, but any movement is better than no movement. High cholesterol and other conditions linked to insulin resistance. These can all increase that risk with MASLD, which used to be called NAFLD. The third cause in the UK that could be preventable is viral hepatitis. So this is the damage to the liver caused by a virus. Now, hepatitis B, this is a blood-borne virus. You're more likely to have been born with it if someone in your family has it, and it's prevalent more in countries abroad, so like China and India or Nigeria. Now, it's blood-borne, so blood-to-blood contact can obviously transmit it, but also bodily fluids. There is a vaccine if you're going abroad to a country that has high prevalence of this, and we'd encourage you to get that. And there are treatments available. So there's also a test. So if you think, I'm worried I could be at risk, you can go to your GP and ask for a hepatitis B test. And there's not a cure for it, but there is a treatment. So if you do have hepatitis B, you can get this treatment, which will help you to manage it and prevent it from worsening. And there's also hepatitis C. So these are the two that are more prevalent in the UK compared to the other types of hepatitis. And again, hepatitis C, blood to blood. So, you know, if somebody's using drugs, you know, even just rolling up banknotes and things like that, these are things people aren't thinking about, but actually there could be a blood particle on a note that person then has. And it's also if you're going abroad, but not as so much now, but you know, in the past, maybe people were getting tattoos or piercings abroad, and maybe the equipment wasn't sterile. So that would increase the risk of hepatitis C. Now, there is a treatment that works on 9 in 10 people. And again, you can go to your GP and ask for a test, but you can also order a test online yourself if you thought you could be at risk. It is the test kit. Again, I'll send out the link afterwards, but you go online, order it. I've done it myself as well. It's a little fingerprint prick test. Do that, send your results, and they'll give you a text message with the results. Because of liver disease being on the rise in the UK, as we thought back to that graph before, this has also meant that liver cancer has also increased the number of people being diagnosed. And obviously it's Liver Cancer Awareness Month, so this is a great opportunity for us to talk about liver health and our Liver Cancer UK website. If you yourself are affected or anyone you know by liver cancer, we've got a specific website now with everything on there where you can find out information that might be of benefit. These are just the statistics, really hard word for me to say. Liver cancer is on the rise. We do need to get that awareness out there. But what they're finding is in 80% of the people with liver cancer, they're finding that they have cirrhosis. So what Sarah talked about in that video, the stages. So what's happened is that liver disease hasn't been picked up in the early stages. It's been picked up when it's after cirrhosis for that person. If you or anyone you know is living with cirrhosis, you should be offered 6 monthly scans. And these are cancer surveillance scans. If you aren't being offered them, we would be encouraging you to speak to our nurses, but I'll share that information in the second part. But yeah, so if you're living with cirrhosis or anyone you know is, please encourage them to get those 6 monthly scans. Just some symptoms, and then we'll have a little break. Now, I said the liver doesn't really give us those ding dong warning signs early on, but these are some things that could be attributed to the liver not being at its best. But please be aware, these could also be attributed to other health conditions you're living with. But if you are feeling unwell and tired and disturbed sleep, and this isn't something that's normal for you, a loss of appetite, maybe muscle wastage is occurring. When the liver's having to work, it needs fuel and it'll often take it from the muscles. Feeling sick and vomiting, a tenderness in that area, the upper right quadrant, small like little spider-like capillaries on your abdominal area, and blotchy red palms. Now, if you've got any of those symptoms and they aren't attributed to any of the health conditions you're living with, we would encourage you to go and speak to your GP. And I've got some information to empower you when you go to speak to your GP, sorry. Now, late stage symptoms. This would be what we said before, 3/4 of people are being picked up with cirrhosis when they go to hospital, and it's likely they've got these symptoms. So they could have a solid abdomen, and that's fluid buildup called ascites. They might be bruising easily, or you might be, and that's not normal for you. A yellowing of the skin or the eyes, an intense itch, an itch that can't be attributed to any other health conditions you're living with. Forgetfulness or memory loss. When our liver's not able to filter out those toxins because it's damaged, what can happen is some of the toxins can go back to the brain. So somebody could act a bit out of character, confused, forgetting things, and it can't again be associated with anything else. If you're vomiting blood or you have dark black tarry poo or dark urine, we would be encouraging you to go and get seen as soon as possible. 111, or even going to your urgent care centre, because you need to be seen soon. What I thought is I'll just have a little pause because I've waffled a lot at you. So I'm just going to pause my sharing. We'll come back to this in a bit just to see if you've got any questions. So what can you do to reduce your risk of liver disease? Now, I'm not going to be telling you anything that you haven't already heard for other health conditions. So what is good for the heart? What is good for reducing your risk of developing diabetes or managing diabetes is good for your liver too. So the government guidelines would recommend ideally 30 minutes of movement a day of exercise, but we are very well aware that isn't possible for everyone. Even if you can break it down, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes lunch, but even if you can't do that, just fitting a few more bits of movement during the day. So watching a television program, can you be tapping your feet, moving around, waiting for a kettle to boil and things like that? Because we had that physio attend our talk who just said any movement is better than no movement at all. Oh, hello. Oh, so alcohol wise, it is a maximum of 14 units a week, and we are encouraging people not to do it all in one go. And I think, especially where I live in the northeast of England, the culture is very much drink a lot at once on a weekend. That's I don't know why that's just, I don't know if that's everywhere around the UK, but it's very much in my region. So we want people to have days off, because if you think your liver's got all those jobs to do, and what happens is when it's dealing with the toxin of alcohol, it actually is filtering out to clean your blood for you. But what happens is a byproduct is created, which actually causes damage to the liver itself. So it's doing the hard work of removing the toxins, but at the same time, it's causing harm to itself. So you can appreciate the more units you have, the more harm you're causing. Yes, so we're not encouraging people to drink all at once. But if you're watching this and thinking, actually, I'm drinking more than the recommended units and I might need some help, there is help out there. We've got some other organizations on our website. You're definitely not alone. We've got people who've come to our groups and they don't want people to go through what they've been through. So yeah, please know you're not alone for that. There is support out there to help you. Diet wise, so we want more goodness and less of that processed, high fat, high salt, high sugar diet. We want more water as well. Maybe if you drink a lot of fizzy drinks like Pepsi, I shouldn't use brand names, sorry, but like Coke, yeah, fizzy drinks, I can't think of any, lemonade. You know, cutting down on those where you can. We've actually got a gentleman who's just shared his story with us recently, and his liver disease was caused by his diet, and it was fizzy drinks were having such a negative impact on his liver, and he got to that cirrhosis stage, and he was lucky he received a transplant. And one thing as well, a fact for you, coffee has been proven to be beneficial for the liver. So in moderate amounts, drinking coffee, I mean, we don't mean the coffees with like loads of sugar and cream and all of that, but you know, simple coffees is it's got a preventative factor for liver disease, which is very interesting. It's very new research, but just sharing that with you. And then the other thing is to protect ourselves from viral hepatitis. So if you're in contact with people and you know you've got open wounds, cover those wounds, you know, contact sports, safe sex, all of these things, you know, good hygiene. If you're abroad and there's the country has high prevalence of hepatitis B, make sure the water's coming from a clean source and things like that. Again, we've got all of this information on our website that you can access for free, and you can have copies posted out for free as well of information. This is that gentleman I mentioned actually, and I just think it's quite an interesting quote from his story. I should have taken heed at the very beginning rather than think it would never happen to me. There needs to be more awareness of the, sorry, I can't see it all because I can see your lovely faces, of the liver. You talk to people about liver disease and they say, shut up, you could be hit by a bus tomorrow. Well, you'll feel like you've been when you're told you need a transplant. So he just wasn't aware. He was actually told he had diabetes many, many years ago. And they said, you've got to look after your diet and your lifestyle. But he said it went in one ear and out the other. But he wished someone had said, actually, it could lead to this. But we've got lots of patient stories on our website as well. I'm not going to share this video. I'll share it after, just because we'll be all here probably for a very long time, because I can see that I'm waffling. So I apologize. But our support. So we are here to support you if you're affected by a liver condition, if you're worried about a liver condition, or if you're caring for somebody with a liver condition. This is just a summary of what I'm going to talk about in the next slides. But the big news for us this year is we actually merged with the Children's Liver Disease Foundation. So my work is all with adults, but we've also now got the Children's Liver Disease Foundation, who work with anyone from the age of birth upwards. So as a charity, we are covering all ages and everyone affected by a liver condition in the UK. This is our lovely chief executive. I better play her video and not fast forward this one. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Pam Healy, and I'm lucky enough to have the privilege to be the chief executive of the British Liver Trust. We are the leading liver disease and liver cancer charity in the UK. So 90% of liver disease is preventable, and 3/4, very sadly, is diagnosed when it's too late for effective interventions. So the challenge is to diagnose much earlier so that people can then have help from healthcare professionals and increase their life expectancy. And we're really pushing very hard for liver disease to be taken very seriously by everybody across the country.
As part of the work with the Roadshow, we're bringing together senior healthcare decision makers, MPs, policy makers, to try and drive this change as quickly as possible. And our supporters have been amazing by writing to their MPs and asking for them to support our call for change. If you haven't yet done so, we'd love you to join that campaign. You can find all the information on our website. You can write to your MP and you can tell them why you know it's so important that we do find cases earlier than we do now.
Now I can't see the little arrow to fast forward. Oh, there. This is just a little slide about merging with the Children's Liver Disease, like I mentioned briefly before, but it is fantastic for us because eventually we're likely to change our name and become that one place where anyone in the UK can go to with ease to find support and help. So the support services that we have, now this is our website. I just want to include a snapshot of that, a screenshot, sorry. On our website, we've got so much information, and honestly, I am very biased, but it's like your Carers UK information. It is fabulous. Our publications team does a great deal of work. So we've got a support section, we've got liver health, so you can read about the risks up there. But these are all the support services, our nurse-led helpline, which I'm going to talk about now. So this is a free service. Now, if you're watching this and you're worried that you could be at risk of liver disease, they are there for you as well. I don't know why that went into little bits like that. But you can call them or you can email them. Again, I'm going to share the details out afterwards, but they are there to empower you. So we get a lot of people say that they go to an appointment, they find out that they have liver disease. And then it's like, goodbye. And they're like, pardon, what? What does that mean? I don't even know what any of this means. And it takes a while to process. So our nurses can help them. They can tell them what they need to ask at that next appointment. And they've all worked in hospital, in the NHS before, and they've all worked with patients affected by liver conditions. We've also just got a liver cancer specialist nurse join our team as well. And they're there for you as carers. So we have a carers group, which I'll talk about on the next slide. But our carers often are ringing the nurses. You know, when things get too much and you're caring for that person you love as well, you can tap into our lovely nurses. Another support service, very similar to Care for a Cuppa. But yeah, so we have peer support groups. We know how valuable it is to speak to other people who can empathise and understand. So these are our current groups. And we also do living well sessions. So in 2 weeks' time, for example, we've got, for anyone affected by a liver condition, we've got a finance session talking about PIP and prescriptions. But we have a carers group once a month. And they're all just to bring those people together, because it's very isolating, isn't it? Like, it can be isolating being a carer, it can be isolating living with a liver condition, and it can be isolating the both things together. We've also got an online forum. So if you yourself or anyone you know is affected by a liver condition, you can join this platform. It's moderated by the British Liver Trust. So this is where we would direct people to go for information, as opposed to Google. Our website and Health Unlocked on the British Liver Trust page. You know, the British Liver Trust moderates it to make sure there's no unhelpful or dangerous information, and no, obviously, unkindness, basically. You know what it can get like on online forums, but it's always moderated. So it's a very good resource to tap into. Patient information, our publications team are fantastic. Now, all our booklets, I have a range of them in my little binder that I take to events. But you can order these for free on our website and have them posted out. Or if you prefer looking at them online, you can download them to look at. But the thing is, which is very important to us, our publications team will never just produce something and go, this is what we think works. They will also always have a focus group. So for example, we just had a new carers page earlier this year. So they spoke to the carers. What do you want to see on that page? So that's always something that we do. This is about our roadshow. Let's see if Jonathan will play.
Hello, it's great to be able to welcome you here to see our mobile unit. This is the mobile unit we take all over the country when we're doing our Love Your Liver roadshows. It helps us raise awareness of the risk factors for liver disease and gives people the chance to find out more about their liver health. So if you'd like to follow me, we'll go and have a look around the mobile unit. So the first thing that will happen when people come on is a short questionnaire. We've got these tablets here with a series of lifestyle questions, and what they do is they give us an idea about potential risk factors around the three main lifestyle-driven causes of liver disease. So that's drinking too much alcohol, being overweight, and being exposed to viral hepatitis risks. So once someone has done their questionnaire and we understand a little bit more about their lifestyle, we'll be able to offer those who are showing that they might be at risk of liver disease a scan. The brilliant thing about the scan is it's quick, it's non-invasive, and it gives us an instant snapshot of how somebody's liver is doing. So they will come into one of our scanning rooms here and be offered a scan. So the scan's really quick and easy. Most scans take between 3 and 5 minutes maximum. It's a very simple process, it's non-invasive, a little bit of gel around the abdomen, probe goes over that, and what the probe does, it measures the stiffness of the liver. So a healthy liver is really soft and squashy. If that liver is becoming damaged, through fat building up in it or through scarring, that makes the liver stiffer. So once somebody's had a scan, we'll know exactly how their liver's getting on. If the reading is showing that their liver is in a healthy state, then we'll have a little chat with them about any potential risk factors that were being shown in their lifestyle questionnaire, because it's really important to remember that the scan is done on that day, and obviously if there are risk factors which are potentially putting the liver under stress, then that could lead to liver damage further down the line. So this gives people a chance to make those lifestyle changes before any damage is done. If we do find that anyone has got indications of liver damage, we'll give those people a letter to take to their GP. That explains exactly what's happened, that they've been to the roadshow, that we've scanned them, and that there's an indication that something might need further investigation. Their GP will arrange those tests to be done under the NHS pathway and provide all the care and further follow-on referrals that might be needed. So there you go, a little tour of the mobile unit showing you just how straightforward it is to come and get your liver health checked out. We take this mobile unit all over the country with our Love Your Liver roadshows. If you want to find out where we're next going to be, look at britishlivertrust.org.uk for more information. Hello.
and our unit goes to where there are pots of funding. So it's all dependent on that, but sometimes the NHS will actually hire it as well. So you can keep an eye out on our website on the Roadshow page, or if you follow our Facebook page after this, you'll find out when it's going to be in areas local to yourself. But we do have an online screen, and I will share the link at the end, that you can do yourself after today, because that's what the people were doing on the computer, and they're doing it in that picture there, in that photo of them on the little laptops. And this was just a quote from a carer. I just thought that was relevant to share. How beneficial that they found the support, because what happened was their husband was actually discharged from hospital, but they didn't believe that they should be. So they rang our nurses, and they were empowered to go back and say, no, my husband needs to go back into hospital. So again, that's what our nurses can help you with if ever needed. If you're watching this and you're worried, I might be at risk or someone I know might be, we've got our online screener. Again, I will share this afterwards, but you can go on and do that. You can ring our nurses, like I said, or email them 9 to 3, Monday to Friday, excluding bank holidays. And we've also got documents that you can print out or write out the questions before you go to that first appointment with the doctor. And we've got ones for speaking to the consultant as well. I'm just going to whistle through these, but that we do a lot of other work. We're raising awareness, we're campaigning, we're working with MPs to change things, to make people get the early diagnosis. We are also this month, we're trying to light up buildings green as part of liver cancer awareness. Again, this is all on our website. So I am just whistle stopping through this. We're obviously involved in research as well. A lot of our individuals accessing our support, they don't want others to go through what they're going through. So often they will join our research projects. We will advertise them on our website. We've got a research section. We as an outreach team, we're going out there trying to raise awareness. If you yourself in your local area think there's somewhere that we could potentially tap into to deliver an awareness talk, please do get in touch to let me know, because the more people we reach, the better it is. And that is it, basically. So that's the online screener on there. You can take a screenshot of the QR code, or again, I'm going to send all the links out afterwards. So I will stop sharing, but we are on Facebook, we're on X, is it Instagram, we're even on TikTok now. I'm not even on TikTok, but British Liver Trusted.